the Norwegian Nobel Committee was making this decision as a new decision. And it is true that in the history of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, occasionally they have changed their direction. Originally, they started with clearly people who were working either in the battlefield or they were trying to make peace between warring communities, so directly connected with the peace issues. And then later on, they realized that they needed to get into the issues of human rights, and that's how Martin Luther King and people like de Klerk, people like Mandela got their prizes. But none of us, I don't think any one of us who was working on the environment or especially environment per se, would have thought that we qualify to be Nobel Peace Prizes.
So you don't put an application in?
No, well, no. You don't put an application. No. For me, at least, I didn't even know who suggested my name. But I think what was interesting for us, as I said earlier, even though I started the campaign, or we started the campaign, it's not me alone. There were so many of us, and some of them here in this room, like I want to mention again Peggy as one of the people. When she was running the voluntary fund, she was very, very supportive of our work, because these women appreciated very, very early what we were trying to do, along with Mim Kerba and Bella Absu. These were women who really understood. And another woman who fortunately is still with us is Hervi Sipilä. Hervi Sipilä is a woman from Finland. She was the very first Under Secretary woman. At that time, it was a big do, because we had never had an Under Secretary woman here at the United Nations. And she came all the way to Nairobi to study what we were trying to do. And they gave us the first grant that actually made us be able to replicate what we were trying to do. So for us, I think what we did that was very unique was to show how not managing your resources in a responsible way, and therefore not governing in a responsible way, in an undemocratic way, in a corruptible way, eventually leads to conflicts. And therefore, by encouraging us to manage the resources responsibly, to govern ourselves. You see, the thing is, if you manage your resources responsibly and accountably, and if you share these resources in an equitable way, you are more likely to preempt reasons why countries get into conflict. But for you to be able to do that, you have to govern yourselves in a democratic way. You have to respect human rights. You have to be inclusive. You have to respect diversity. And there is no society anywhere that doesn't have diversity. And so we linked governance with the sustainable management of resources, so an equitable distribution of those resources, and so as to have a peaceful coexistence. And we saw this in Kenya because we had tribal conflicts in Kenya, and we were involved in trying to resolve those conflicts. And it helped us understand that quite often the conflicts we were having, even the conflicts we had in January, they were conflicts that were usually fed by competition over water, competition over land, and competition over power. But power was being sought so that people can control resources. So when you see the connection between the three of them, then that's what the Norwegian Nobel Committee saw, that this is really a new dimension that is where people are moving to because of the rising populations on the planet, the diminishing resources, the competition over resources, and therefore they understood that with the rising population and the competition over resources, if we do not manage these resources in a responsible way, in an accountable way, and share these resources in an equitable way, there is no way you will prevent